As you know, great group fitness instructors utilize a wide variety of three-dimensional cues to help their participants move safely and effectively during class. The problem arises when the verbal and the visual cues aren't enough to get that participant to move effectively. In this segment, I'm going to show you how to utilize three-dimensional cues to help the participant move correctly with good form, without you having to make any manual adjustments. In cueing to a solution, the group fitness instructor will verbally coach the participant while simultaneously guiding them through a range of motion, utilizing their hands as landmarks as to where the participant should begin or end a range of motion. Getting the participant to move on their own versus you making any manual adjustments is not only safer, but more meaningful. They'll learn movement patterns and be able to replicate them easily, both inside and outside the group fitness setting. Let's see how cueing to a solution would work in a core conditioning format. Let's come down into a forearm plank. Placing your forearms on the ground parallel to each other, your shoulders are lined up with your elbows. Tuck your toes under, pull your belly button up towards your spine. Then float your knees slowly off the mat, squeezing the glutes and holding the abdominals tight without holding your breath. Now, as the instructor, you'd want to hold that position for a little bit to make sure the visual learner can see you. But then it's time to evaluate form of our participants. So I can see that Erica's hips are too high. I'm going to use my hand as the landmark to ask her to pull her hip level to my hand. Her cervical spine is collapsed, so I'm going to place my hand behind her head and ask her to pull up till she feels the palm of my hand. Now she's in neutral alignment with her ears lined up with her shoulders and her shoulders lined up with her hips. A perfect forearm plank. Now let's look at the side plank. Stack your elbow underneath your shoulder and stack your hips one on top of the other. Push up, creating a giant C curve on the bottom oblique. Your shoulders are stacked and your hips are stacked. If you look back here at Joby, you can see that her bottom hip has collapsed too far to the floor. I'm going to use my hand as a landmark and ask her to lift up towards my hand. Perfect alignment between shoulders and hips. Now let's move into bird dog. Come onto all fours. Extend your right arm out in front of you, turning your thumb up towards the ceiling. Your wrist, your elbow, and your shoulder should be lined up. Now extend your left leg back behind you, ankle, knee, hip lined up. This is an anti-rotation exercise, so the shoulders and the hips should remain squared. If you look at Calista, her left hip has collapsed down, so I'm going to use my landmark as a guide and ask her to pull her hip up till she feels my hand. Perfect. Now the shoulders and hips are squared and lined up. Go ahead and release. I hope these visual demonstrations have helped reiterate the purpose in cueing to a solution. Our goal is to get the participants to move safely and effectively on their own. Practice the skill set with family and friends so that you can enhance your teaching ability in the group fitness setting.